Good afternoon. Let's go back to chapter 1. And this one's totally optional because we did it in class. But I know it's a dense book because they've taken a very complicated adult novel and kept all the details and crammed it all into, this. So this one's not necessary. Forgive me if my voices change because I can't seem to remember what each character sounds like. So there you go. Chapter 1, Saxon and Norman Enemies. In the year 1192, the people of England feared for the life of their beloved king, Richard I, also known as Richard the Lionhearted. Was he dead, or was he a prisoner in some foreign land? He had been returning home from the crusade in the Holy Land when he disappeared. Now, the Crusades were religious wars being fought in Jerusalem by Christians from all over Europe against the Turkish invaders. Rumors reached England accusing Richard's brother, Prince John, of plotting the king's imprisonment in some foreign country so that he could rule in his place, which he had been doing in Richard's absence. Now, both Richard and John were from the Plantagenet family, a French royal family that was descended from William of Normandy, the king who had conquered England over 100 years before. Even now, many Englishmen, or Saxons as they called themselves, had a fierce hatred for the nobles that they called Normans. On their part, the Normans considered the Saxons beneath them, and they haughtily demanded obedience and respect from them at all times. In spite of these feelings, many nobles and knights, both Saxon and Norman, had followed Richard on his crusade. Some had gone because of their deeply held Christian beliefs, while others sought military glory or simply adventure. Two of these knights, both Normans, had returned recently from the Holy Land and were now riding at the head of their party of squires. There they are, riding at the head of that party, the head of the squires, or whatever. And guards through Sherwood Forest, near the village of Sheffield. The knights, Briand de Bois-Guilbert and Maurice de Bracy, were on their way to the town of Ashby, where a tournament to show off their knightly skills was to be held in just a few days. This was not the safest of roads for the horsemen, or even with their guards, since a gallant band of outlaws, led by the notorious Robin of Locksley and his merry men, roamed this forest, robbing even the bravest travelers. Now, with Ashby still a day's ride away and a storm approaching quickly, the travelers needed to find a place to spend the night. Nearing a fork in the road, the riders overtook a lone man dressed in a long, black hooded cloak, carrying a staff. The cross of palm leaves attached to the staff identified him as a palmer, which is a religious pilgrim returned from the Holy Land. See? Right, there we go. Bois-Guilbert called out, "You there, do you know a nobleman's castle where we can be fed and lodged overnight, with proper hospitality, due our positions and titles?" "Certainly, my lord," replied the palmer. "The castle of Rotherwood, home of Cedric the Saxon, is near. I'm headed there myself, and will gladly show you the way." "Cedric," mumbled de Bracy, "that wealthy Saxon nobleman hates all of us. He surely won't welcome Normans at his castle." "No, we're not asking for his hospitality," sneered Bois-Guilbert arrogantly. "Normans have a right to demand it of any Saxon." "Yeah, but we wouldn't want to arouse Cedric's anger, especially in front of his beautiful daughter, Lady Rowena," cautioned de Bracy. "My lords," interrupted the palmer, "Lady Rowena is not Cedric's daughter. She's a princess, a distant relative, whom he raised. But she is as dear to him as if she were his daughter. If she were offended in any way, Cedric wouldn't think twice about sending you or any knight out of his house." "Yes, so I've heard," added de Bracy. "People say he's so fierce and protective of her that he even banished his own son. Ivanhoe from his home because the young man fell in love with her. Cedric insists on someone of royal blood, a prince, at least, to be her husband. I also heard that he disinherited his son for going on the crusade with the king. This is certainly one man whose anger we don't want to provoke, said Bois Guilbert. We must be certain to show him the utmost respect and politeness while at Rotherwood. As the palmer led the travelers deep into the woods, he seemed to know every twist and turn of the path that led there. And as well he should, for he had lived there all his life. But as familiar as the palmer was with these woods, even he couldn't detect the band of merry men hiding on either side of the path, waiting for the signal from their leader, Robin of Locksley, to attack and rob the travelers. But that signal never came. The only sound was a gasp as Robin whispered to his friend and advisor, Friar Tuck, "Good Lord, there's Ivanhoe at the front of that group of travelers. He must have just returned from the Crusades. At least he hasn't met the dreadful fate of our beloved King Richard." "It's true," said the friar. "But why is he dressed as a palmer? Why is he leading those Norman knights to his father's castle? To a man who considers him dead? Has he now turned traitor and sided with the Normans?" "I think not, good Tuck," said Robin. "Ivanhoe is too loyal a Saxon and too brave a knight to ever turn against his own people. I'm certain he's planning something, and I'm just as certain we'll find out what it is before many more days pass."